Alex, a young man in his mid-20s, is seen weaving through the crowd with an air of determination. He's dressed casually, with a backpack slung over one shoulder, and his eyes constantly darting around, taking in every detail of his surroundings. The narrator introduces Alex as someone who thrives on the unexpected. He's the kind of person who would rather take the long, winding route home just to discover something new. His curiosity knows no bounds. And it's often this trait that leads him to places others overlook. Alex is shown going about his day, but unlike others who stick to routine, he finds excitement in the mundane. He stops to inspect street art, chats with a street vendor about the origin of a unique spice, and takes photographs of interesting architecture, despite living in a fast-paced world. Alex is deeply observant, finding beauty and intrigue in the small details that others miss. He's adventurous, not just in physical exploration but in thought, constantly questioning, learning, and seeking out the unknown. As Alex passes by an old, nearly forgotten alleyway, he pauses, feeling a strange pull towards it. The alley seems out of place in the modern city, with its cobblestone path and ancient-looking buildings. Something about it intrigues him, though he brushes off the feeling for now. A quiet, narrow alleyway, far from the city's busy main streets. The alley is lined with small, quirky shops that seem to belong to another time. Alex, who usually enjoys exploring, is taking a leisurely walk, letting his instincts guide him. The camera follows him as he notices an old, weathered sign for an antique shop, its paint peeling and letters faded. Alex pushes open the heavy wooden door, and a bell jingles softly as he steps inside. The air is thick with the scent of aged wood and old paper. The shop is dimly lit, with shelves crowded with curious items, dusty books, tarnished silverware, and forgotten trinkets from another era. The shopkeeper, a quiet, elderly figure, barely glances up from his newspaper. There's a sense of stillness in the shop, as if time itself moves more slowly within its walls. Alex wanders through the narrow aisles, his fingers brushing against various objects. Suddenly, something catches his eye, a small, intricately designed watch resting in a glass display case. Partially hidden among other items, the watch is unlike anything he's seen before. It's gold, with unusual engravings that twist and turn like ancient symbols. The clock face is slightly cracked, but it only adds to its mysterious charm. It seems to emit a faint, almost imperceptible glow, as if it's alive with secrets. Sound design, the ticking of the watch is audible. But it's not just a regular tick, it has an oddly rhythmic, almost hypnotic quality to it that draws Alex in. Alex feels a strange connection to the watch, as if it's calling to him. There's a moment of hesitation, but his curiosity gets the better of him. He leans closer, examining the engravings, trying to decipher their meaning. Without fully understanding why, Alex knows he has to have this watch. It's as if it holds a piece of a puzzle he didn't know he was trying to solve. Alex takes the watch to the counter. The shopkeeper, now looking directly at him, seems to know something more about the watch but says nothing. There's a brief moment of silent exchange, a knowing look in the shopkeeper's eyes. The watch, now in Alex's possession, is not just an ordinary timepiece. It holds the key to something far greater, something that will soon pull Alex into an adventure beyond his wildest imagination. The dimly lit antique shop, filled with an eerie quietness. The ticking of the old clock on the wall and the faint creak of floorboards create a tense atmosphere as Alex brings the watch to the counter. The shopkeeper, an elderly man with sharp, penetrating eyes and a weathered face, slowly puts down his newspaper, his gaze now fixed on the watch in Alex's hand. The shopkeeper's eyes narrow as he sees the watch. There's a brief flash of recognition, mixed with concern. He hesitates before speaking, as if weighing the consequences of what he's about to say. That watch, the shopkeeper begins, his voice low and gravelly, is not just an ordinary timepiece. The shopkeeper's tone shifts, becoming more serious and somber. The lights seem to dim slightly, as if the very air in the shop is thickening with the weight of his words. He tells Alex of an ancient legend passed down through generations. The watch, according to the tale, was crafted by a master clockmaker centuries ago. Imbued with the power to transcend time itself, it was said to have been used by kings, scholars, and even outlaws to witness or alter history. The shopkeeper's voice grows even quieter, more urgent. But beware, he says, locking eyes with Alex. Those who have wielded this power have often found themselves lost in the sands of time, unable to return to the world they once knew. He warns of the watch's double-edged nature. Time travel, while alluring, is fraught with peril. Changing even the smallest event in the past could lead to unimaginable consequences in the present or future. The watch, he implies, has a mind of its own, guiding its bearer to moments of great significance. But it does not guarantee their safe return. The shopkeeper shares a cryptic story of a previous owner who disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only the watch, which found its way back to the shop under mysterious circumstances. Alex feels a mix of fear and fascination. The weight of the shopkeeper's words settles heavily on him. But the lure of the watch's power is undeniable. He's torn between heeding the warning and following his insatiable curiosity. After a moment of contemplation, Alex decides to take the watch, believing he can handle whatever challenges lie ahead. The shopkeeper, sensing Alex's resolve, gives a final, solemn nod, understanding that once the watch chooses its bearer, there's little he can do to change their fate. As Alex leaves the shop, the shopkeeper's voice lingers in the air, offering one last piece of advice. Remember, young man, time is not a toy. Respect it, or it may turn against you. The door closes behind Alex, and the shop seems to fade into the shadows of the alley, almost as if it never existed, leaving him alone with the watch, and the heavy responsibility it brings. Alex's modern apartment, cluttered with books and artifacts from his explorations. The evening light filters through the windows, casting long shadows across the room. The watch sits on his desk, catching the last rays of sunlight. Alex is absorbed in studying its engravings, lost in thought about the shopkeeper's warning. Alex absent-mindedly twists the watch's dial, trying to decipher its functions. Suddenly, the watch emits a soft, rhythmic ticking, different from before, almost like a heartbeat. The room starts to blur around him. The ticking grows louder, more intense, as if the watch is coming to life. A bright light envelops Alex. He feels a strange pulling sensation, as if being drawn through a tunnel. Panic and exhilaration wash over him as the light intensifies. Then, suddenly, everything goes silent. The light fades. Alex finds himself standing in the middle of a bustling, ancient city. The air is thick with the scent of spices, smoke from open fires, the chatter of a language he doesn't understand. Surrounding him are towering stone buildings with intricate carvings, market stalls overflowing with goods, people dressed in flowing, colorful garments. The sun is high, casting a golden hue over the city, creating a vibrant, yet alien atmosphere. The distant sound of temple bells, the clattering of carts on cobblestone streets, the rhythmic hum of life in the city replaces the modern noises Alex is used to. Alex looks around, wide-eyed and disoriented. He touches the stone walls, feeling the rough texture beneath his fingertips, trying to ground himself in this new reality. His heart races as he realizes this isn't a dream, he's truly traveled back in time. Alex's mind races, trying to make sense of his surroundings. He recognizes some aspects from history books, but everything feels far more vivid, more real. The reality of his situation starts to sink in. He's completely alone in an ancient world. There's a mix of awe and fear as Alex takes in the sights and sounds. The sense of wonder is palpable, but so is the growing anxiety about how, or if, he can return to his own time. Alex begins to walk through the city, trying to blend in while observing everything around him. He passes by street vendors, hears snippets of conversations, watches children play games unfamiliar to him. The customs and rituals he sees are foreign, yet fascinating. He notices a grand temple in the distance, feels drawn to it, thinking it might hold answers about where, or when, he is. As he explores, a deep sense of isolation begins to creep in. Despite the vibrant life around him, Alex feels like an outsider, separated from everyone by the vast chasm of time. While exploring, Alex accidentally bumps into a local official. The official glares at him with suspicion. The encounter is brief, but it leaves Alex unnerved. realizing that his presence might not go unnoticed for long. The watch, still ticking softly in his pocket, seems to pulse, as if responding to his growing anxiety. It's a subtle reminder that time is not just a backdrop, but a force he's now at the mercy of. As the day progresses, Alex finds himself drawn to the edge of the city, where he can see the vast expanse of the surrounding landscape, lush hills, ancient roads, and the endless sky. It's a moment of both awe and dread, realizing just how far from home he truly is. As night begins to fall, Alex feels the watch vibrating in his hand, as if signaling something. The scene ends with him looking down at the watch, unsure of what will happen next, but knowing that his journey is only just beginning. The ancient city where Alex has found himself is now bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun. The city's grandeur is even more apparent as the shadows lengthen, highlighting the intricate architecture and the bustling life within its walls. The streets are alive with activity, merchants closing their stalls, soldiers patrolling, citizens gathering in small groups, exchanging news and gossip. As Alex wanders, trying to remain inconspicuous, he notices a commotion near the grand temple he had seen earlier. A crowd has gathered, and in the midst of it stands a figure who exudes authority and charisma, someone clearly important. The figure is dressed in ornate robes, adorned with symbols of power and status. Their presence commands attention, and even without understanding the language, Alex senses the respect and reverence the people have for this person. As Alex edges closer, he begins to recognize the figure from his historical studies, a legendary leader or influential thinker whose impact on history is well documented in his time. The realization hits him: he's not just witnessing history. He's standing in the presence of one of its most significant figures. Awe and disbelief wash over Alex. The history he once studied in books is now unfolding before his eyes. In real time, he's not just a spectator. He's a participant, even if only as an observer. To his surprise, the historical figure notices Alex and, intrigued by his foreign appearance, beckons him closer. The crowd parts slightly as Alex nervously approaches, unsure of what to say or do. The figure speaks, their voice resonating with authority and wisdom. Although Alex struggles to understand the language fully, the tone and context give him enough clues. The figure questions Alex's origins, sensing that he is not from this time. Alex, torn between revealing the truth and maintaining his cover, chooses his words carefully, using gestures and the few words he knows to communicate. The figure seems both puzzled and fascinated by Alex, perhaps seeing him as a messenger or a sign. After the encounter, Alex steps back, overwhelmed by the realization that the watch is not just a tool for traveling through time, but a gateway to witnessing pivotal moments and meeting influential people who shaped history. He looks down at the watch, now glowing softly, almost as if it's alive, guiding him to these moments. The engravings on its surface seem to shift, as if responding to the events unfolding around him. There's a growing sense of responsibility in Alex. He understands that the watch has chosen him to witness, and perhaps even influence, key moments in history. But with this power comes the weight of the shopkeeper's warning: meddling with history could have dire consequences. Over the next few scenes, Alex finds himself in the presence of other historical figures, each encounter deepening his understanding of the era he's in. He meets scholars, warriors, and perhaps even ordinary people whose actions would ripple through time. These figures impart wisdom, share their visions of the future, or express their fears and hopes. Alex, while mostly listening, begins to realize the impact these individuals had, not just on their time, but on the course of history itself. As Alex continues to navigate these interactions, he becomes aware of subtle tensions, political intrigue, brewing conflicts, or impending decisions that will alter history. The weight of being in the right place at the right time begins to press on him. The watch occasionally vibrates or ticks faster, signaling moments of heightened importance. It's as if the watch is pushing him toward a critical moment, one where his presence might make all the difference. After one particularly intense encounter, Alex finds a quiet spot to reflect. The reality of his situation is starting to set in. He's not just traveling through time, he's witnessing the very moments that shaped the world he knows. The scene ends with Alex looking out over the ancient city, the watch in hand, realizing that his journey is far from over. The significance of his role is becoming clearer. And with it, the challenges and dangers he will face. Alex is in a secluded area of the ancient city, away from the bustling streets. He's found a quiet spot on a hill overlooking the city, where he can reflect on everything he has experienced so far. The sun is setting, casting a golden glow over the city below. The sky is painted with shades of orange and pink, creating a serene yet introspective atmosphere. Alex sits on a stone bench, the watch in his hand. He turns it over, tracing the engravings with his fingers. Lost in thought, his mind races with the encounters he's had and the historical moments he has witnessed. There's a growing sense of awe mixed with anxiety. Alex is overwhelmed by the magnitude of what he's experiencing. He's not just a traveler in time. He's a witness to history, a guardian of events that shape the future. As Alex examines the watch more closely, he begins to notice patterns in the engravings, symbols and markings that seem to correspond to the moments in history he's visited. The watch's face pulses with a soft light, and as it does, Alex suddenly understands that the watch is guiding him, choosing the moments he's meant to see. Brief, vivid flashbacks of his previous encounters flash before his eyes. The important figures he met, the critical decisions they made, and how those moments felt pivotal, as if history itself was holding its breath. The weight of responsibility hits Alex like a wave. The watch isn't just a tool. It's a key to the very fabric of time. And with that key comes the power to influence events in ways he hadn't fully grasped until now. Alex recalls the shopkeeper's warning about the dangers of meddling with history. He realizes that every choice he makes, every interaction he has, could ripple through time with unforeseen consequences. In his mind's eye, Alex imagines different scenarios. What if he had said something different to a historical figure? Or what if he inadvertently changed the course of an event? He envisions the potential chaos, the alternate futures that could unfold, and it chills him to the core. Alex grapples with the enormity of his responsibility. He's just one person, yet the watch has placed an incredible burden on him. He wonders if he's strong enough, wise enough, to carry it. The fear of making a wrong decision looms large, but so does the realization that he has been chosen for a reason. Alex speaks aloud, voicing his doubts and fears. He questions why the watch chose him, a mere observer, to bear such a powerful artifact. Yet, as he speaks, he begins to understand that the watch isn't just a burden. It's an opportunity to preserve history and protect the timeline. The watch suddenly emits a brief, intense glow. And for a moment, Alex sees a vision, glimpses of the future, possible outcomes of the choices he has yet to make. The vision is both inspiring and terrifying, showing him the potential for both greatness and disaster. The vision fades, leaving Alex with a newfound sense of purpose. The fear remains, but now it's tempered by determination. He knows that he cannot simply be a passive observer. He must actively ensure that history unfolds as it should. Alex finally accepts the role that has been thrust upon him. He understands that he must be careful, thoughtful, and deliberate in his actions. The watch is not just a tool for adventure. It is a sacred trust, and he is its guardian. He straps the watch onto his wrist, feeling its familiar weight, but now with a deeper sense of connection. The watch is no longer just an object. It's a part of him, a guide that he must respect and heed. As the sun dips below the horizon, Alex rises from the bench, looking out over the ancient city one last time. He knows there's much more to discover. More moments in history that need witnessing and protecting. But now, he's ready to embrace his journey, no matter where or when it takes him. The scene ends with Alex taking a deep breath, a mixture of resolve and calm washing over him. The next chapter of his adventure awaits, and with it, the trials that will test his newfound understanding of the watch's power and his responsibility. Alex is back in his apartment, now filled with books, maps, and artifacts from his recent travels. The watch rests on the desk, ticking steadily, as if beckoning him to explore further. Alex feels a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. The realization of the watch's power still weighs heavily on him, but his curiosity drives him forward. He knows that each journey will test him in new and unexpected ways. Alex carefully adjusts the watch's dial, feeling the familiar pull as the world around him dissolves into light. When the light fades, he finds himself standing at the edge of the Nile River. Under the blazing Egyptian sun, the grandeur of the ancient pyramids looms in the distance, their silhouettes stark against the blue sky. The streets of a bustling city unfold before him, filled with merchants, laborers, and priests. Alex quickly realizes the complexity of navigating this era. He must understand the rigid social hierarchy and the deep religious significance of every action. A chance encounter with a scribe provides him with insight into the daily life and the governance of the pharaoh. As he witnesses the construction of a pyramid, Alex grasps the sheer scale of human ambition and the lengths to which people will go to secure their legacy. He learns the importance of legacy and the burden of leadership, qualities that resonate with his role as the Watch's guardian. The Watch pulls Alex again, transporting him to the vibrant heart of Baghdad during the Islamic Golden Age. The city is a hub of intellectual and cultural activity, a stark contrast to the raw physicality of ancient Egypt. The streets are lined with libraries, mosques, and marketplaces. Scholars engage in animated discussions, while artists and scientists work on groundbreaking discoveries. The air is thick with the scent of spices and the sound of the call to prayer echoing from minarets. Alex finds himself drawn into a debate among scholars in the House of Wisdom. Though he tries to remain a silent observer, his modern knowledge accidentally slips out, catching the attention of a renowned philosopher. The challenge here is intellectual. Alex must navigate the sophisticated discussions without revealing too much. Through his interactions, Alex learns the value of knowledge, curiosity, and the pursuit of truth. He sees firsthand how the exchange of ideas can shape civilizations and the importance of preserving knowledge for future generations. The Watch's dial spins again, and Alex is thrust into the heart of medieval Europe, landing in a small village surrounded by dense forests. The atmosphere is vastly different, darker, more oppressive, with a palpable sense of superstition and fear. The village is simple, with thatched roof cottages and cobblestone streets. The towering castle in the distance serves as both a beacon of protection and a symbol of power. The air is thick with smoke from hearth fires, and the sky is perpetually overcast. Alex quickly discovers the harsh realities of life in this era: plague, famine, and the ever-present threat of war. He becomes involved in a conflict between the villagers and the local lord, where he must carefully balance his actions to avoid altering the course of history. From this era, Alex gains an understanding of resilience and survival. He witnesses the strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity and the importance of community and faith in difficult times. After his travels, Alex finds himself back in his apartment, physically unchanged but mentally and emotionally transformed. The lessons he's learned from each era weigh on him, adding to his understanding of the Watch's purpose and his role. The once familiar surroundings of his apartment now seem distant, as if the past has left an indelible mark on him. The Watch is quiet now, its ticking barely audible, as if it too is reflecting on the journey. Alex is contemplative, realizing that the Watch isn't just a tool for adventure but a guide through the complexities of human history. Each era has taught him something vital about leadership, knowledge, and resilience. Alex understands that the Watch isn't randomly choosing these times and places. It's guiding him through the most critical lessons humanity has to offer. The Watch is showing him the multifaceted nature of history. How different societies, under different circumstances, have navigated the challenges of their times. The Watch glows softly, almost as if in approval, signaling that it's time to rest and reflect before the next journey. Even as he reflects, Alex feels the pull of the Watch urging him to continue exploring. He knows there are countless other eras and lessons waiting for him, each with its own unique challenges and insights. The scene ends with Alex standing by the window, looking out at the modern cityscape. The Watch in hand, he knows his journey is far from over, and the next time he activates the Watch, he'll be ready to face whatever new challenges and eras it brings. Alex is in his apartment, poring over the notes and artifacts he has collected from his previous travels. The Watch sits on the desk, glinting in the dim light as if urging him to delve deeper into the mysteries of time. A sense of curiosity and anticipation fills Alex. He's not just interested in the broad strokes of history. He wants to uncover the hidden stories, the secrets that textbooks don't cover. He feels that the Watch is more than just a tool. It's a key to unlocking the mysteries of the past. The Watch's dial spins, And Alex is transported back to the time of ancient Egypt. But this time, he finds himself deep within the labyrinthine corridors of a pyramid. The air is thick with the scent of age-old stone and dust. The narrow passageways are lined with hieroglyphs, some depicting familiar scenes of pharaohs and gods, while others are more cryptic, hinting at forgotten rituals. The flickering torchlight casts eerie shadows on the walls. As Alex explores, he stumbles upon a hidden chamber, sealed for centuries. Inside, he discovers an ancient scroll, detailing a forgotten alliance between a pharaoh and a nomadic tribe, a pact that helped build the pyramids but was erased from official history. Alex realizes that history is often shaped by those in power, and many stories are lost or deliberately hidden. This discovery adds depth to his understanding of Egypt, revealing the complexities and the untold collaborations that shaped its grandeur. The watch pulls Alex to a dimly lit library in Baghdad during the Islamic Golden Age. The scent of ink and parchment fills the air as scholars debate philosophy and science around him. The library is vast, with shelves lined with scrolls and books, some bound in rich leather, others in simple cloth. The room is alive with intellectual energy, a sanctuary for knowledge. While exploring a dusty corner of the library, Alex finds a forgotten manuscript hidden behind rows of books. The manuscript details advanced scientific theories and inventions that were never fully developed or recognized. Perhaps because they were deemed too radical for their time. Alex learns that knowledge is often suppressed or overlooked, especially when it challenges the status quo. He gains a deeper appreciation for the scholars of this era, understanding that their contributions were far more extensive than history remembers. The watch whisks Alex to a medieval castle in Europe, where he finds himself amidst the chaos of a siege. The air is thick with the smell of smoke and the clang of swords. The castle's stone walls are scarred from battle, and the courtyard is a flurry of activity as knights and soldiers prepare for the next assault. The tension in the air is palpable. Alex discovers an old, tattered manuscript hidden in the castle's chapel. It tells the story of a female warrior who led a secret resistance against an oppressive regime. A tale that was deliberately erased from the annals of history because it challenged the patriarchal norms of the time. Alex realizes that many heroic deeds go unrecorded, especially when they don't fit the dominant narrative. This discovery deepens his understanding of the struggles faced by those who fought for justice in a world that often tried to silence them. Back in his apartment, Alex lays out the scrolls and manuscripts he has collected, each one representing a secret uncovered, a story almost lost to time. He sees patterns emerging, how history is shaped by both those who record it and those who choose to forget. A sense of wonder and responsibility fills Alex. He realizes that by uncovering these secrets, he is giving voice to those who were silenced, ensuring that their stories are remembered, even if only by him. Alex begins to understand that the watch isn't just guiding him to famous moments in history. It's leading him to the hidden truths, the forgotten stories that add layers of complexity to the past. The watch's true power lies in its ability to reveal what has been obscured by time. The watch glows with a soft, steady light, as if acknowledging Alex's newfound understanding. The engravings on its surface seem to shift, hinting at more secrets waiting to be discovered. Alex grapples with the knowledge he has gained. He wonders whether he should try to share these secrets with the world or keep them hidden, as they were intended. The weight of this decision presses on him, but he knows that the watch will guide him. This journey has transformed Alex from a curious traveler to a seeker of truth. He now understands that history is far more complex and nuanced than it appears on the surface. He is more aware of the power of knowledge and the importance of preserving it. As Alex looks at the watch, he feels a pull toward another journey, another era where secrets are waiting to be uncovered. He knows that with each secret he discovers, he is piecing together a fuller, richer tapestry of human history. The scene ends with Alex adjusting the watch, ready to embark on his next adventure, driven by the knowledge that the past still has many stories to tell. And he is the one chosen to uncover them. Alex is back in his apartment after a recent journey. His desk is cluttered with artifacts, notes, and the watch, which now feels heavier than ever. The walls are adorned with maps and historical documents, each representing a different era he has visited. Alex feels a deep sense of unease. The more he travels, the more he realizes that history is filled with moments where a single decision could change the course of events. The weight of his responsibility is beginning to take its toll. Alex reflects on his previous journeys, recalling moments where he felt tempted to intervene, to save a life, to prevent a tragedy, but held back, knowing the potential consequences of altering history. The watch activates, and Alex is transported to ancient Egypt once more, this time during the reign of a pharaoh nearing the end of his life. The kingdom is on the brink of chaos, with factions vying for power. The scene is set in the pharaoh's court, filled with intrigue and tension. The halls are lined with gold and precious stones, but the atmosphere is tense, with advisors whispering and plotting in the shadows. Alex overhears a plot to assassinate the pharaoh, knowing that this event will plunge the kingdom into years of civil war. He faces a choice: should he intervene to save the pharaoh, potentially altering the course of history, or remain an observer and let events unfold as they did in the past? Alex struggles with the decision, the desire to do good clashing with the fear of unintended consequences. He ultimately decides to remain an observer, but the guilt of inaction lingers. The watch pulls Alex to Baghdad during the Islamic Golden Age, where he finds himself in a bustling marketplace filled with scholars, merchants, and travelers from distant lands. The marketplace is alive with color and sound, the scent of exotic spices filling the air. The energy of intellectual debate and cultural exchange is palpable, a stark contrast to the shadowy intrigue of Egypt. Alex learns of a young scholar who is on the verge of a groundbreaking scientific discovery, but who is being persecuted for his unorthodox views. Alex knows that this scholar's work will be lost to history if he doesn't intervene. The desire to help the scholar burns within Alex. He contemplates giving the scholar knowledge from the future to aid his work. But doing so could not only alter the scholar's fate but potentially accelerate scientific development in ways that history wasn't ready for. Torn, Alex decides to subtly influence events by encouraging other scholars to support the young man, hoping that this small nudge will preserve the scholar's work without drastically altering history. The internal conflict deepens as he realizes the fine line he is walking. The watch spins again, transporting Alex to a small village in medieval Europe during the height of the Black Death. The streets are empty, and the air is thick with despair and death. The village is shrouded in a gray mist, the once lively community now decimated by plague. The few survivors are either too sick to move or too afraid to leave their homes. Alex encounters a family that is miraculously untouched by the plague. He knows that they will soon be accused of witchcraft and executed, an event that will further stoke the fires of fear and superstition. Alex's heart aches for the family. He has the knowledge and possibly the means to save them, but intervening could disrupt the fragile balance of fear and control that shapes this period of history. Despite his overwhelming empathy, Alex decides not to intervene directly. Instead, he leaves behind a book of healing herbs, hoping that the family might find a way to protect themselves. The weight of his decision presses heavily on him, as he knows he can't save everyone. Back in his apartment, Alex is haunted by the decisions he has made. The faces of the people he couldn't save, the lives he didn't change, all swirl in his mind. The internal conflict has grown stronger, and he questions whether he is strong enough to continue. The guilt and doubt gnaw at him, turning what was once a thrilling adventure into a moral quagmire. The watch, once a symbol of wonder, now feels like a burden he's not sure he can bear. The watch activates unexpectedly, showing Alex visions of possible futures, some where he intervenes and creates utopias, and others where his actions lead to dystopias. The watch is not just a tool for exploring the past. It's also a reminder of the fragile nature of time. These visions are rapid and disorienting, with flashes of different eras, people, and outcomes. Alex sees the ripple effects of small actions magnified across time. The visions shake Alex to his core. He realizes that no matter what he chooses, there will always be consequences. The moral dilemmas he faces are not just about the past, but about the future as well. Alex comes to a crossroads. He understands that he can't continue his journey without addressing the growing internal conflict. He must decide whether to fully embrace his role as an observer or to take on the responsibility of an intervener. Knowing the risks, after much contemplation, Alex resolves to strike a balance. He will intervene only when he believes that his actions will preserve the greater good of history. He acknowledges that this is a heavy burden, but it's one he's willing to bear. The next time Alex looks at the watch, he does so with a renewed sense of purpose. The dilemmas will continue, but he's now more prepared to face them. Understanding that the lines between right and wrong are often blurred in the sands of time. The scene ends with Alex setting the watch for his next journey, the ticking echoing in the quiet room. The moral dilemmas will never go away, but Alex is ready to navigate them, even as the stakes grow higher with each new era he visits. Alex is back in his apartment, surrounded by the artifacts and notes from his past travels. Everything seems normal, but there's a nagging feeling that something is off. The watch, usually silent, ticks louder than usual, creating an unsettling atmosphere. A sense of unease settles over Alex. The watch, once a symbol of discovery, now feels ominous. He can't shake the feeling that his actions have caused ripples in time, ripples that may be turning into waves. Alex receives an unexpected letter in the mail, written in an old-fashioned style, yet addressed to him by name. The letter warns him about meddling with history and hints at consequences that have already begun to unfold. The watch activates, pulling Alex back to ancient Egypt. However, something is different this time. The once familiar landscape feels foreign, and the people behave strangely. The Grand Pyramids are still there, but they are surrounded by structures that shouldn't exist in this era. The hieroglyphs on the walls depict events that never occurred. Blending reality with fiction in disturbing ways, Alex realizes that by not intervening in the assassination plot against the pharaoh, he inadvertently allowed a power-hungry advisor to rise, leading to a drastically different history where Egypt became a military dictatorship rather than a cultural beacon. The realization hits Alex hard. His choice to remain an observer has led to a warped version of history, and the guilt is overwhelming. He begins to question every decision he has made, wondering if he's truly capable of handling the power of the watch. The watch pulls Alex to Baghdad, but the city is in disarray. The vibrant marketplace he once visited is now eerily silent, and the once bustling library is almost empty. The city is shrouded in a thick, unnatural fog. The few people on the streets move quickly, avoiding eye contact, as if something terrible is about to happen. Alex discovers that his subtle encouragement of the young scholar led to unintended consequences. The scholar's work, though groundbreaking, was co-opted by a corrupt ruler who used it to develop weapons, leading to a reign of terror that stifled the flourishing of knowledge in the region. The weight of his actions bears down on Alex. He intended to help, but instead, his influence has contributed to the downfall of an entire era. The guilt and self-doubt grow stronger, and Alex begins to fear the watch's power. The watch takes Alex to medieval Europe, where he finds himself in a village that is both familiar and strange. The village he once visited is now caught in the grip of chaos. With rival factions battling for control, the village is divided by a hastily built wall, with guards patrolling on both sides. The once thriving community is now a war zone. With houses burnt down and fields left untended, Alex learns that his decision to leave the Book of Healing Herbs led to accusations of witchcraft. The family he tried to protect was executed, and their deaths sparked a brutal witch hunt that tore the village apart. Alex is devastated. His attempt to do good only made things worse. He begins to question the very nature of the watch and whether it is truly a tool for exploration or a curse that brings only misery. Back in his apartment, Alex notices small changes in his environment. His historical books have different titles, and familiar landmarks in his city have subtly altered. Even the people around him seem different, their lives changed in ways he can't fully comprehend. The changes are subtle at first, different clothing styles, unfamiliar street names, but they grow more significant as Alex notices that people he once knew are now strangers. And events in his life have taken different turns. Alex realizes that the ripple effects of his actions in the past are altering the present. The watch's power is affecting not just history, but his own life as well. The timeline is unraveling, and he is losing his grip on what is real. The fear and anxiety build as Alex struggles to understand the full extent of the changes. He feels isolated, as if the world around him is shifting in ways he can't control or predict. The line between past and present begins to blur, and Alex is consumed by the fear of losing himself entirely. Alex begins to suspect that the watch itself is manipulating events, testing him, or perhaps even punishing him for his actions. He wonders if the watch has a consciousness of its own, one that is guiding him toward an unknown end. The watch's engravings shift and change, depicting scenes that Alex hasn't visited yet, scenes of destruction, chaos, and despair. The ticking grows louder, more insistent. As if the watch is demanding something from him, Alex is torn between his desire to continue exploring and his fear of causing more harm. The watch, once a tool of discovery, now feels like a ticking time bomb that could go off at any moment. He must decide whether to continue using it or to try to destroy it, knowing that either choice could have catastrophic consequences. Alex reaches a breaking point. He knows that he must take action to stop the unraveling of time. But he's unsure how to proceed. The weight of his past decisions presses down on him, and he fears making the wrong choice again. After deep reflection, Alex decides that he must confront the consequences of his actions head-on. He resolves to use the watch one last time, not to explore, but to try to repair the damage he has caused. This decision marks a significant shift in his character. From a curious adventurer to a responsible guardian of time, Alex sets the watch, preparing for his final journey. The ticking is louder than ever, the engravings glowing with an ominous light. He knows that this journey will be the most dangerous yet, but he's determined to face whatever comes. The scene ends with Alex disappearing into the folds of time, the watch in his hand. The outcome is uncertain, and the consequences of his next actions could either save the timeline or doom it forever. The tension is palpable as the story leaves readers on the edge of their seats, wondering what will happen next. Alex is in the middle of exploring a historical event, perhaps the signing of a significant treaty in medieval Europe. The atmosphere is tense, with diplomats and rulers gathered around a large table, negotiating the future of their kingdoms. The room is dimly lit by torches, the air thick with the scent of parchment and wax. The tension in the room is palpable as leaders argue over terms, their voices rising and falling in a delicate dance of diplomacy. Alex, hidden in the shadows, observes quietly, careful not to interfere. The watch ticks steadily in his pocket, a constant reminder of the power he wields. Everything seems to be going as history intended, until a sudden, inexplicable shift occurs. The air feels colder, and the light from the torches flickers ominously. As Alex watches, a figure steps out from the shadows, someone who clearly doesn't belong in this time period. Dressed in clothes from a different era, the figure's presence disrupts the natural flow of events. The diplomats hesitate, their attention drawn to the stranger as if sensing the anomaly. The rival time traveler is cloaked in a long, dark coat, with an air of authority and danger. The watch around their wrist glows faintly, its design similar yet more intricate than Alex's. The rival's eyes meet Alex's across the room. Filled with a mix of curiosity and warning, the rival approaches Alex, who instinctively reaches for his own watch. Before he can react, the rival whispers, "You're playing a dangerous game, Alex. Tampering with history comes with a price, one you're not prepared to pay." Alex is caught off guard. He didn't expect to meet another time traveler, especially one who seems to know so much about him. The rival's words plant seeds of doubt in Alex's mind, making him question whether he's truly in control of the situations he's encountered. The rival leans in closer, their voice low and filled with urgency. "Every change you make, every event you witness, leaves a mark on the timeline. The more you meddle, the greater the risk of unraveling everything. Do you think you can handle that responsibility?" As the rival speaks, the room around them seems to warp and distort, the edges of reality blurring as if time itself is reacting to their presence. The watch on the rival's wrist pulses with a dangerous energy, amplifying the gravity of their warning. The rival reveals that they are not just another time traveler, but a guardian of time, one tasked with preserving the integrity of history. They've been tracking Alex's movements, and while they haven't interfered until now, his recent actions have caused too many disruptions to ignore. Alex feels a mix of fear and defiance. He's been so focused on exploring and understanding history that he hasn't fully considered the broader consequences of his actions. The rival's words strike a chord, but Alex isn't ready to relinquish the power of the watch or admit that he's made mistakes. The rival, sensing Alex's reluctance, decides to test him. If you're determined to continue, then prove that you can handle the responsibility. Show me that you understand the weight of your actions. The rival sets a challenge, a seemingly simple task of observing a crucial moment in history without interference. The scene shifts to a different time period, one where the stakes are incredibly high. The environment is chaotic, with a battle raging or a city on the brink of collapse. Alex is placed in a situation where the temptation to intervene is overwhelming. Perhaps it's a moment where a single action could save lives or prevent a disaster. The rival watches from a distance, waiting to see if Alex will remain an observer or give in to his instincts. The pressure on Alex is immense. He's torn between the desire to do good and the knowledge that any action could have far-reaching consequences. The rival's presence only heightens the tension, forcing Alex to confront the limitations of his power and the moral dilemmas that come with it. Depending on Alex's decision during the test, the rival reacts with either approval or disappointment. They reveal that they too were once like Alex, curious, adventurous, and eager to explore history. But they learned the hard way that time is not something to be toyed with. The rival's demeanor softens slightly as they recount their own experiences. Their eyes distant as if reliving painful memories. The watch on their wrist dims, reflecting their regret and the burden they carry as a guardian of time. The rival offers Alex a choice: continue his journey with the knowledge that every action has consequences, or give up the watch and return to his normal life, free from the burdens of time travel. They warn that if Alex continues, he will eventually have to face the full weight of his decisions. Alex is conflicted. The rival's words resonate with him, and he begins to understand the true cost of his adventures. But at the same time, the idea of giving up the watch and all the possibilities it holds is almost unbearable. Alex takes a moment to reflect on everything he's experienced, the lives he's touched, the history he's witnessed, and the mistakes he's made. The rival watches silently, respecting the gravity of the decision. After deep contemplation, Alex decides to keep the watch, but with a renewed sense of responsibility. He acknowledges the risks and the dangers but feels that he can't turn his back on the knowledge and experiences he's gained. He promises himself to be more careful, more thoughtful in his actions. The rival nods, accepting Alex's decision. They offer a final piece of advice: remember, Alex, time is not your enemy, but it's not your ally either. Use the watch wisely, or you might find yourself lost in a world you no longer recognize. The decision weighs heavily on Alex, but he feels a sense of resolve. He knows the road ahead will be difficult, but he's determined to continue his journey with a clearer understanding of the stakes involved. The rival fades into the shadows, leaving Alex alone with his thoughts. The room returns to its normal state, the distortions in time fading away as if they never existed. The watch in Alex's hand feels heavier, its ticking more deliberate. The room around him is quiet, almost eerily so, as if the world itself is holding its breath in anticipation of his next move. Alex is left with a sense of both dread and excitement. The encounter has changed him, made him more aware of the dangers of his journey. But it has also strengthened his resolve to use the watch wisely, to continue exploring history with a deeper understanding of the consequences. The scene ends with Alex setting the watch for his next journey. The rival's words echo in his mind. The ticking grows louder, signaling the start of a new adventure, but this time, Alex is more prepared, more aware of the dangers that lie ahead. Alex is back in his apartment, the room dimly lit by the evening sun. The watch lies on the table in front of him, its intricate engravings glinting in the fading light. The room is filled with artifacts from his travels, maps, books, and souvenirs from different eras, all of which seem to crowd around him, a constant reminder of his adventures. The watch ticks steadily, its sound filling the otherwise silent room. The ticking is almost hypnotic, drawing Alex's attention back to the object that has changed his life so profoundly. The light from the setting sun casts long shadows, creating an atmosphere of contemplation and melancholy. Alex feels the weight of the watch as if it's pressing down on his very soul. The thrill of discovery has given way to the burden of responsibility, and the once exciting adventures now seem fraught with danger and uncertainty. He knows that his next decision will be a turning point, one that could either save or doom him. As Alex stares at the watch, he begins to reflect on his past journeys. Scenes from his travels flash through his mind, the awe of witnessing ancient Egypt's grandeur, the intellectual excitement of the Islamic Golden Age, the moral dilemmas he faced in medieval Europe. But with each memory, the consequences of his actions also come to the forefront: lives altered, timelines disrupted, and the growing sense of guilt he carries. The room around Alex fades as the flashbacks take over, transporting him momentarily back to each era. He sees the faces of people he has met, some grateful, others angry or fearful. The flashbacks are vivid and emotional, each one pulling at his conscience. The excitement of discovery is now tinged with regret. Alex's internal conflict intensifies as he realizes the impact he's had on history. The question of whether his adventures were worth the cost gnaws at him, creating a deep sense of unease. The watch, still ticking, seems to beckon Alex, offering the promise of more adventures, more knowledge, and more power. The idea of destroying it feels almost unthinkable. How can he give up the ability to witness history firsthand, to be a part of something so much larger than himself? The watch glows faintly, its engravings shifting subtly as if alive. The ticking grows louder, filling the room with a rhythm that matches Alex's heartbeat. It's as if the watch is speaking to him, urging him to continue using it, to embrace the possibilities it offers. The desire to keep exploring, to uncover more secrets of the past, wells up inside him. The temptation is strong, and he begins to rationalize his actions. Perhaps he can be more careful, more mindful of the consequences. The thought of giving up the watch fills him with a deep sense of loss, as if he would be abandoning a part of himself. But alongside the temptation is the fear of what the watch has already done, and what it might still do. The memory of the rival time traveler's warning echoes in his mind. Tampering with history comes with a price, one you're not prepared to pay. The shadows in the room seem to grow darker, more oppressive, as Alex contemplates the potential dangers. The watch's ticking becomes irregular and erratic, reflecting his growing anxiety. The air in the room feels heavy, charged with the weight of impending doom. The fear of unintended consequences weighs heavily on Alex. He's seen firsthand the damage that can be done by meddling with history, the chaos, the suffering, the irreversible changes. The thought of causing more harm terrifies him, and he begins to wonder if the watch is more of a curse than a gift. Alex closes his eyes, trying to clear his mind. He takes a deep breath, centering himself as he considers his options. On one hand, he can continue his journeys, but with the knowledge that each trip carries immense risks. On the other, he can return to his normal life, destroy the watch, and free himself from the burden of its power. The room is silent now, the ticking of the watch growing softer as Alex's breathing steadies. The artifacts around him seem less imposing, fading into the background as he focuses solely on the watch and the decision he must make. Alex's heart is torn. The idea of destroying the watch feels like abandoning a part of his identity, but the fear of causing more damage looms large. The internal conflict is intense, a battle between curiosity and caution, between adventure and safety. After what feels like an eternity, Alex makes his decision. He knows he can't continue to risk the lives and timelines of countless people for his own curiosity. With a heavy heart, he decides to destroy the watch and return to his normal life. This decision is not made out of fear, but out of a newfound sense of responsibility. Alex picks up the watch, feeling its weight in his hand. The ticking is faint now, almost as if the watch knows its time is coming to an end. He walks to a workbench where he has tools laid out, ready for the task. The light from the setting sun casts a final golden glow over the watch as Alex prepares to destroy it. As he raises the tool to strike the watch, Alex feels a pang of regret. He's about to lose something that has been a part of his life for so long, something that has given him incredible experiences. But he knows it's the right choice, and he steels himself for what must be done. With a final, decisive motion, Alex brings the tool down on the watch. The sound of the metal breaking is sharp, echoing through the silent room. The watch shatters, its pieces scattering across the table. The ticking stops, and the room is plunged into an eerie silence. The pieces of the watch lie scattered on the table, their intricate designs now broken and lifeless. The golden glow from the setting sun fades, replaced by the cool blue of twilight. The room feels emptier, as if the destruction of the watch has taken something intangible with it. Alex feels a mix of relief and sadness. The burden of the watch is gone, but so is the excitement and wonder it brought. He knows he made the right choice, but the loss still stings. He's free now, but at a cost. Alex cleans up the remnants of the watch, carefully placing the pieces in a box. He takes one last look around the room, at the artifacts that now feel like relics of a past life. He knows he can never truly forget his experiences, but he's ready to move on. As Alex closes the box, the room is bathed in the soft light of the first stars of the evening. The air feels lighter, the atmosphere more peaceful. He takes a deep breath, feeling a sense of closure and the promise of a new beginning.